Today's episode is going to be a little sad. Everyone at home.
There's no such thing as sadness.
Everyone at home should just be prepared and warned that if you're not okay with the topic of death, you probably should just tune out now. But we're going to start off with saying, this isn't about anyone passing away right now.
It's about math.
This is about Rockstar has come from somewhere, right? There are people who helped shape us, build us, turn us into who we are. And I've been seeing a lot of content on social media about this math, right?
It's a calculation.
I think you're probably the only person I know that's a walking calculator. I've seen you calculate numbers that are crazy from your business on the spot. Yeah. So why don't you run everyone at home through this? Because, you're the one who kind of brought my attention to this when you left California.
Yeah. So I actually got very mad at Ankur. One day in my anger, I just spit out numbers, not realizing that's not how normal people have a conversation. But what we're talking about is when you go on this journey of becoming a business owner, this entrepreneur, you sacrifice everything. You sacrifice your health, your time. And what a lot of us don't realize until later on to the journey is you sacrifice your parents' time as well. We justify everything because we're crazy. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work 7 days a week, 20 hours.
I'm going to buy them a car. I'm going to buy them a house. I'm going
to make our
fly
lives
them first
better.
class back home.
Yeah, to give them a life. They sacrifice. My mother, my father sacrificed everything for me. So I'm going to sacrifice my time for them. Not realizing the actual math, right? So I left New Jersey during Shred's time to go to California to expand out the West Coast operation and to start at that moment. We didn't know what the word was, but influencer marketing, right? And content creation. So I did the math. I sat down one day all alone and I realized that if I live in California, which I loved staying in California, at that time I was 35, right? The maximum, age, the average age in America is around 75 for our parents to live. I'm Bengali, so males maybe 70, okay? And females is higher, 79. So my father's older than my mother, right? At that time, he was already 65 years old. This was the math, right?
Yeah.
My dad was 65 years old. I'm in California, working hard, happy that I'm actually doing.
A little too happy, to be honest, but yeah.
But the math was math. Even if I flew back once a month, which is the realistic time, right? No one can go back from a different state more than once a month, right? And even if I went every month, which is also unrealistic, most people go back every other month, maybe 3 months. You only go back once a month if you have maybe a girlfriend on the other side, right? If I went back once a month in America, you're gonna go back on the weekend, right? So in 1 year, I'm going back max 12 times max 2 days, because there's gonna be flight time, whatnot, right? So that's 24 days. Okay, now, let's say I'm lucky and my parents live another 20 years. Forget the average life expectancy, another 5 years, right? What is that? That's around 400 days, right? Not even 1 year. And that doesn't include the amount of time that I'm sleeping, the amount of time I'm spending time with my girlfriend and with my friends, right? Realistically, I'm probably just spending 6 hours with them a week, right? So that's nothing. That's not even a month. All I have is 30 days with my parents if I decide to pursue this dream of being an entrepreneur. These are
in California.
In California or out of state. And what about you? Did you do the math if you did business within state?
I think everyone, I'm choosing my words properly. I think everyone takes advantage of the fact that you live in the same state when you're in the same state. When I was here, I saw my parents max once, twice a month, if that.
So same number almost.
And honestly, it was at max 6 hours a month.
Okay.
Right? Because if I went to my parents' house, it would be after a double shift, and I'd sleep instantly when I got there because I was so tired.
So what is that? 6 hours, 12 months, that's 72 hours, right? That's 3 days. That means you're seeing your parents 3 days a year being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And honestly, it didn't matter whether I was out of state, in state. It just was the reality of the situation. And now having gotten married and talking about future kids and whatever else is going to happen in my life, one of the things that's been running through my mind is like, am I going to stay in Jersey? I don't know whether this is going to be the end all be all for me. I mean,
Correct.
The cost of a house in the state of New Jersey is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
But the cost of being with your parents is priceless.
And there are just so many things that the two of them had taught me. I mean, there's things that your parents have taught me too, right? But there's so many things that the two of my parents have taught me throughout the years that I just wonder, how is that going to rub off on the potential grandkids, right?
Right. I mean, don't you want your parents around, your mom around, your dad around when you have grandchildren? It's a free babysitter.
And even if there are no grandkids, right?
Yeah.
There's only so many more opportunities I have to learn from them or to be around them or just absorb their life wisdom and all of it. I remember at one point when you had this conversation with me, I realized I should start asking my parents more questions. And so every time I saw them, I started asking them questions about their childhood, about the stories, about the life lessons. And my father, he had some beautiful stories to share. But,
and they get so excited to share that. And I just feel so selfish that we didn't ask until now.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I didn't even know the questions to ask, let alone not asking.
Did you experience the same thing I experienced? I noticed that me and my father lived identical lives, identical emotions, identical feelings. At that moment, so what I did was I interviewed my father, and I started interviewing people that are older than me, 30, 40 years older than me. And man, the one lesson that I learned is we're all the same exact people. We all have the same exact dreams. And there's certain things that I just feel like some of us are rude on. We should ask the elderly people for advice because we have so much to learn. They walked our walk. They felt our feelings, and we can learn from them. We should ask, how are you feeling, Dad? Did you get everything you want, Mom? Is there anything I could do to help you? I mean, I'm 40 years old now, and I feel back pains and all that stuff. If I sleep wrong, my whole day's ruined. I can only imagine what my parents are going through. So not only do we have such a limited time as entrepreneurs with our family, 60 days max, 60 days is all you have if you choose this route. Then if they become sick, how does that help your mental psychology? These are things that you have to prepare for, that there's not a single business school out there that will prep you. And these are the conversations Ankur and I have, because this is really what makes the difference. Business, I'll tell you right now, has nothing to do with dollars and cents, profits and losses. That's not. It's this emotional strength you need to have and this absolutely insane belief in yourself and the business model that you have that will drive you to the finish line that Ankur always talks about. But that mental strength comes at a cost. Are you willing to give up that cost? Are you willing to sit down and calculate what are the real variables? Like I said, this is just math. And the variable is true.
72 hours, man. When you realize that that's all you have in a year, and then you think about certain things like my father is at an age where he's outlived all of his siblings, right? He
looks good, though, I'll tell you.
He does. He does look good. He hasn't outlived his father yet. So I'm using that as my baseline for my grandfather's age and how long my father's going to be around. But, I mean, at best case scenario, I have 2 weeks as it's currently stood with my dad. That's outrageous. To just understand, like, the times that I'm going to see him or the opportunities that I have to see him in my life as it's currently kind of scheduled and structured. But, I mean, I bring this topic to the table out of vulnerability, I have friends that don't understand what that realization is like, right? People who get to go see their parents every weekend, and people who have parents that call them, people who have just that opportunity for that to not be 2 weeks, but for it to be 2 years that they're around with that family members and whatever else that's happening. But I don't know. I feel like my 2 weeks has been snatched from me with stuff that happened at the wedding and before that and everything else. And I don't know how to get that 2 weeks back. And I feel like if that's it, did I get enough in my life from them?
See, my perspective, I'm going to flip the question on you. Did you give enough for the people that gave everything to you?
Is it ever enough, man? I don't know. Maybe at my core, I've been someone who tries to make everyone around them happy, right? And whether that's through giving them things from time to money to material things to
But where does core
bragging
come
rights.
from? Where does core come from? It probably came from your mother who raised you,
Maybe.
you know? And she never asked that question, is it ever enough? Every single day she woke up, no matter what time, and she took care of us. You know, no matter what, that's what mothers do. 7 days a week, no days off, at any given time, on call. You know, they have a mental pager. They can cure us. They know we're about to cry and wake up before we even wake up. So I don't think the question is, do you have enough time? The question is, do we give back the time, the appreciation, at least understanding what you know now? You know, are you going to change?
I don't know, man. I mean, the heights that I reached, I sacrificed time. And do I regret those sacrifices of time? You'd have to, right? A crazy person would be like, no, I don't regret any of it.
Yeah, a person with no empathy would say that.
It's just when you want to rebuild, and we talk about this, right? That I have the confidence that I know I can rebuild and everything else. You just wonder where your priorities are this time around.
I mean, you get the opportunity right now to question those, right? And I think we all need to take a deep dive and almost take a personal inventory of ourselves and ask ourselves, is this, at this age right now, what's important for me? Maybe 10 years ago was a different journey. But right now, is this important? Now that we know this math, you know?
I mean, when it comes down to it, I know that there's a couple things I still need to give my parents at some point for it to be enough in my mind.
Grandchild is number one.
I don't know if I'm going to get the chance to give it to them, but I know I'm lucky to have been able to give as much as I have, right? And to have had that opportunity and the blessings in my life to be able to give what I have given. I just hope it's enough when the time does come. And I feel like this is one of those topics that like real men don't talk about much. And I know that this is a different vibe for our episodes than what we normally do, but I just feel like it was time.
But I think it's part of it, right? I think every entrepreneur, every rock star goes through this realization, right? When the party's over, okay, when the milestones are hit, and you're all alone, and you are in your thoughts, these are the questions I have, right? Is it enough? Man, I'm gonna keep on giving my all. Just like in business, I'm gonna give it my all to my parents as well. And you know what? I fight with them. They're my trigger in so many different ways. It's my job to be a better son because I'm sure I'm their trigger too. They probably don't like me. I wouldn't like me. I see some of my friends with kids right now. If I was as bad as them, I mean, I was probably worse. I wouldn't like me either.
You were a terrible child.
I was a terrible child. I know that.
You were Dennis the Menace, but the brown version for sure.
I said, hey, Dad, I know you sacrificed your entire life to come here. Can't bury your own father, see your brothers or sisters, your nephews, your nieces. But I want to be a DJ. I want to drop out of school and be a DJ because that's what I want to be.
You know, you know how they talk about dating red flags and all that?
Yeah.
Children red flags are a thing for sure. And I know, I think you must have been in third grade for your class photo, the one that's proudly hanging by the stairwell. Mm-hmm. That's when I knew this is going to be a problem child for sure. That devilish smile, the smirk that you had going on in that photo, that was a wild photo, man. I mean, my parents had to know, right? There's photos of me driving the car with them in the back seat.
Yeah, yeah.
And I must have been like 6 at some like display at Disney World or something.
Yeah. And you know, you're such a well put together guy, and you're one of the most polite gentlemen I've ever seen. But when you're with your parents, sometimes you act like a 15-year-old. You know, like adolescent. What do you mean the chicken isn't ready, Mom? I need it right now.
It's wild, man. We take our parents for granted. And I mean, for what it's worth, you know, I dedicate this episode to both of our parents. I mean, one of the beauties of having a podcast is there's like video testimonial proof and evidence, right? So, I mean, to camera, Mom, Dad, I hope you guys know I love you. I know that my dad's going to comment beautiful or something on this, but it'll probably be directed at you, Riz, and not me. But
I wonder what my father's going to say.
I mean, I know he's watching. He's watching those episodes secretly, right? There's a study Forbes put out, right? The amount of time that people spend on social media in retirement and watching TV and all that, it's high. And your dad, he's curious. He knows.
Dad, Mom, I love you. No matter what we've gone through. Everything has been a positive experience. I am the man that I am today. I'm short and bald because of you, so thank you so much. But seriously, I just want to give you guys a hug, and I can't express how I feel because of how I was raised, but I truly do love you, and I appreciate everything that you guys have sacrificed for me and continue sacrificing.
And, before we cut the end of the episode and get back to our regular scheduled programming, Riz and I have agreed to all four of you that we're going to race to have a child, whether it's going to be his kid or my kid first, but we're going to get you guys a kid.
I have never agreed to that. Ankur has
It was a full
race.
agreement.
I do not accept this.
We haven't chosen the gender. We haven't chosen the timeline.
I am choosing my child's gender because I'm not letting them choose their gender these days.
Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll catch you guys back on another regularly high-pumped, lit episode of the Rockstar Podcast.
And make sure you call your mom and your dad and tell them you love them.
Bye, guys.